I swore that I wasn't going to do this one. The trial is still waiting. It was supposed to begin last year, and it never did. I checked. And it's about an experience that I had, one of the worst experiences I've ever had in church confronting someone. And there was a speaker, C.J. Mahaney, and the name of the church was the North Coast Church. I don't think it exists anymore. And CJ and Larry Tomzak and Steve Shanks all kind of get together in this little tiny group without any authority, without any denominational board, without a bishop, and they kind of decide how they're going to do it. And one day I felt everything was completely and incredibly wrong. This church met at Rame Middle School in Cleveland, Middle Heights, Ohio. And I went down to the front row, completely packed, and this is while he was giving the sermon, and I simply bowed my head. And then I mouthed a few words to the speaker, and that's when they wanted to kick me out of there. Yeah, I wasn't escorted backstage, but I was told through a note to quit what I was doing. And then Larry, this is in 1981, or CJ, got up and warned the whole congregation about me. And I went and he put his hand on my chest. Oh, you have a good heart. I went to apologize. You have a good heart. Well, he had a rotten, fucking, filthy heart. And you can tell by the lack of fruit, his abusiveness. He's now being sued by dozens of people. He considered himself a great apostle, starting 140 churches. And I'm just saying, where's the fruit? Most of the places have left. And he was charged with power mongering, abuse of power. And there's a civil suit, and this group is going down. They're going to have to give out millions and millions of dollars. And then there's Larry Tomzak. I feel a little bit differently about him until I started reading what actually happened. And Larry's son was babysitting when he was 15 years old, and he abused the infant. And CJ, in all his wisdom, wanted to get rid of Larry because he was a power threat. He'd always been a power threat. He'd always been a disciple. He'd always been a wingman. And now suddenly, with all these churches, he realized he could be it. He could be the shit. And so he blackmailed Larry by revealing what his son had done. And what happened was Larry bought it. He was not willing to risk that information getting out, let alone the own information about him, who some say was abusive in the form of spanking to the point of bizarreness, where he had an adult woman remove her pants, remove her panties, and spanked her at 26 years old and deprived her of food. Some speculate it was his own daughter. I don't know who else it could be. But these guys just, not only do they give a terrible name to faith, they give a terrible name to church. They give a terrible name to everything that's decent, abusive, power mongering, sex fiends that get off on spanking their own daughters where they're bare naked. It just makes me sick. And I'll be following the trial. I think these people are right to go civil and not go criminal. You know, get money, get fuck, just get the money out of these bastards. That's the way to shut them down. And Larry's now kind of started a new life in Tennessee, outside of Nashville, and like I say, I just remember these guys 33 years ago, and it just got worse and worse and worse. Larry's a huge advocate of beating your child, and he says you should beat them with a switch off a tree. And all I could think of is Grandpa Luther in 1920, you know. It's just insane. If you don't have that control over your child, then spanking isn't going to give it to you. Scaring the shit out of them isn't going to. I was abused as an infant, too. I was left alone. And who knows? Maybe that's another technique on the list, to leave your child alone. Yeah.